Hey guys, what's up? It's Dan Weinberger here, CEO of Morpheus.Network, here with another exciting AMA. And this time I'm doing it alongside my good friend John Trask from Dimitra. Of course, Morpheus.Network, supply chain automation platform, so many different integrations, and Dimitra being one of those integrations, one of those partners. John, please introduce yourself, talk a little about your project.
Hey, Dan, glad to be here today talking with you. Love chatting with you about business and the integrations between Morpheus and Dimitra. Lots of exciting work going on that we're pushing forward in various continents, and we just want to talk about some of those today. Last week, we made a post out to our community members and got loads of great questions. We're going to answer a few of those questions today. And I think we're going to get going with the first one. We're going to talk about the background between Morpheus and Dimitra, how long we've been working together, and some of the things we've done together. So Dan, how long have we been working together now?
You know what, John? It's been years. I almost have to look at a calendar to see when we first started speaking, but I believe it was in 2019 that we first hooked up. So it's going back over 2 years now. And since then, it's been quite a road. Obviously, a ton of different projects and obviously proposals working on together. Sometimes 100-page long proposal we're putting together. So we've done some amazing work together. Aside from that, we actually got to meet up in Montreal. We did some lunch and learns together, introducing corporations and what we're doing with our technology. It's been a really great road with you, John. And honestly, I've actually conveyed this to a lot of our community members as well. When it comes to Dimitra and what you're doing with Dimitra, just simply unbelievable. But people have to get to know you, the person. Honestly, the stories that you have, I'm not going to share them because I let you tell these stories in the future. But John is a fantastic guy, and we go back years, and we look forward to many years more of amazing business together.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun, and I do remember the Montreal trip. We did enjoy some wings and maybe a couple drinks after all of those lunch and learns that we were running there a couple of years ago, pre-COVID. And we'll have to get a couple more of those going on around the world in the next year as we're getting back to the new normal. It's interesting, some of the things that we were working on, from a supply chain perspective. We did a great proposal on soybean at one point together, and that project didn't go through, but it did form quite a bit of the basis around what we're building in Dimitra and how we integrate with Morpheus for that. So, that is a great Canadian proposal that we've done, and I think we've got some good opportunities from that. We just signed a contract with one of the agencies in Brazil, the cooperative that essentially manages 85% of Brazil's exports. And we're investigating with them how to manage farm to export. That's going along really well. We're glad that they signed the contract with us. And a big part of that will be Morpheus from a documentation perspective for the port. So I know we've got a few questions around how do we work together on that. So, I'd like to say we've got this Dimitra deal, and the Dimitra deal essentially is to start with the crops, start with the fruits, and move those to an export status. And Morpheus, you guys have some great export management features, which we will API into the system for them and feed the information into the Morpheus network to track some of those fruits as they move from Brazil to other countries. In addition to the Brazil deal, we've got a number of deals going on in the world. We've got a great project going on in India, and we're doing soil analysis, and that soil analysis is happening with satellite to start. We're also integrating IoT sensors and farmer observations. It's a very large project. We're starting with 1.3 million farms on that project. And the goals of that are to remediate the soil and help farmers build a soil remediation plan while doubling their output on those farms. There's some highly degraded soil in areas of the world. I think if you read some of the reports that we've lost 33 to 50% of the topsoil in the world. over the last 100 years. And a very large percentage, over 80% of our crops, are grown in topsoil. So farms and governments alike are looking to understand, how do they work in harmony with nature? How do they use modern farming practices that don't destroy the soil while they're doing that? And there's a lot of ways to do that. Reduction in chemicals. There's some precision farming techniques. And one of the things we're doing within the platform is an individual farm. We can take a satellite view and actually help build a plan for each individual farm in an automated fashion that aligns with their goals. So a farmer establishes their goals and says, hey, I'm growing whatever crop, peppers, and here are my soil conditions. And we help build a plan for that farmer so that their soil becomes more diverse, their soil becomes more productive over the years while they're growing those crops. And that increases that output and ties all of that back together. So now that farmer can ship more peppers, and it follows right through that entire value chain.
Exactly right. Exactly right. And that's, basically the systems that we're building around logistics just work hand in hand with what Dimitra is doing with the farms themselves, right? So when you're talking about the export process, as opposed to someone figuring out how do they generate these documents, who do they supply it to, we build this all into the platform. So it's completely automated, allowing these exporters to handle their entire system in an automated fashion. It just completely revolutionizes global trade. I wanted to speak a little bit more about how we sort of work together, but I wanted to kind of branch into also, they mentioned those problems in global trade as well. That kind of brings us into both. I know those are both questions on this here. I just wanted to quickly mention that I had a really amazing time in 2019 with John as well. It was this, John was hired actually to do a consultancy for an amazing electronic supplier. Honestly, we broke down their business from end to end. It was absolutely unbelievable what we had done. And once again, it was a consultancy project. So we didn't actually implement a system for them at that time. We will down the road, hopefully. But at the same time, like that soybean project, we learned so much from that. And honestly, I used a lot of the techniques from John, from that specific workshop that we did with our clients nowadays. So even with FCL right now, growing out our food certification system to now doing a whole farm to fork system, doing a whole bunch of different traceability projects, breaking down their company basically from an end-to-end perspective. I learned a lot of those tools from John, so I just want to thank him for that as well. And John, you mentioned obviously the whole export process. And I know the question is a little bit later on. I'm trying to see who the user was that mentioned it specifically about problems in global trade. I can't find the user. But nonetheless, yes, there's some horrible problems in global trade going on right now. And the systems that John with Dimitra helping the farms and what we're doing with Morpheus is going to help. So many of these problems are going on right now, like let alone what's happening in Vancouver with these horrible floods, taking out the rail lines. Vancouver being a major port city in Canada, allowing all the containers from China being delivered all across the country. That's all shut down right now because of a flood like this, right? That is obviously a sort of a black swan event. You could think of like a COVID sort of event. But the mismanagement in ports that we're seeing in places like Los Angeles and Long Beach and Shanghai, comparing it to port systems, to port operators like in Miami or even Port Canaveral in Florida as well, which is a Gulf container port, one of our clients, is completely night and day how they're handling their ports, right? They have absolutely no systems in place to handle the traceability of all these containers coming in. There's a whole backlog of containers. There's, obviously a perfect storm of problems going on with shortages in labor as well. Crane operators, whether it's port laborers, truckers to take away the containers. All these problems, confound each other with COVID and people basically buying products off shelves, thinking there's some sort of supply issue, when really they're just basically increasing demand for one single person, pushing that across the whole population. So it's really quite a perfect storm that we're seeing in supply chain. But all these issues that we're seeing can be solved by simple digitalization tools that are being built by Dimitra and by Morpheus to help companies and countries are having these congestions all around the world. So another one of the great questions in this AMA, John, was from what Dimitra's working on and what Morpheus is working on, how many people are impacted by these solutions?
Yeah, so I mean, I can break it down just from our side that right now we've got over 1 million people on the system, and we've signed up deals that'll bring us to about 18 million. If you look at the actual people impacted, particularly in the global supply chain, those shipments are feeding millions and maybe hundreds of millions of people. It's a shame what's going on in the world, and some of the challenges that, the environment and other things are impacting shipments and delaying shipments. And there's a huge impact from a food perspective, as a lot of that is fresh produce, and it's essentially just sitting there rotting in containers because of some of these distribution issues. And certainly Morpheus and Dimitra together can help avoid some of those, help manage some of those problems, help escalate some of those problems, so that we can get distribution and prioritize distribution to reduce loss and reduce waste. And those are some of the reasons that our customers are coming to us, because those are the challenges that they have. There's so much waste and loss in the logistics system in the world with fresh food, and exporters are trying to get better and better at it. The ports and customs agencies are trying to get better at clearing that and create more efficient systems that allow the appropriate paperwork to be processed, to make sure it gets in on time, to make sure that it's accurate, to make sure that we have the appropriate provenance. And we see hundreds of millions of consumers being impacted by the system even today.
Yeah, most definitely, John. That's that's a powerful statement. Obviously, it's when we say impacted, this is feeding people, right? So it's people starving or not. So it's not a simple thing if they get some sort of luxury in their hands. No. This is just simple food, right? So huge impact, and obviously with Morpheus itself, the world of global trade, it's a $15 trillion industry, right? So obviously tackling it as heavily as we can with all the different verticals that we've already tapped into. Working with Gulftainer, the world's largest privately owned port operator, obviously absolutely huge for us. They're teaching us so much when it comes to port operation. Being that API hub for Gulftainer is just amazing. Being able to push these solutions out to other ports as well. Now, one thing with Morpheus as well, we're constantly expanding to different places around the world. Internationalization, the different global languages we have to import into the platform. Localization, working with different currencies and time zones. All that built into the platform as well. So it's a ton of work for the team, but it does make sense, obviously, as we keep on growing. And obviously, with John and your reach in Africa, as well as different geographies, we're going to keep on growing. The internalization of the platform. So, by the way, that question was from Enoth Perso. That is a Reddit user. I thought I mentioned that as well. So, John, did you want to choose a question to go with?
Yeah. So 9A and a whole bunch of letters after that asked, how can you get closer to Dimitra's goal for small farmers in collaboration with Morpheus? And I think, I'll talk a little bit about that. So one of our objectives is to work more with smallholder farmers and small independent farmers. And between those small farmers and taking the product to market or to export, typically there's cooperatives or packing houses, various methods of consolidation. And Dimitra, together with Morpheus, provides a great tool, because a user can log right into the Dimitra platform and start their shipment. And we API into the Morpheus.Network, so we can actually have them, when they go and pick a bin of tomatoes or whatever the produce may be, label that bin of tomatoes and actually take that data and transfer it to the Morpheus system. And it's seamless. They don't know they're transferring it to the Morpheus system. They just know that they've created a bin of tomatoes and they're shipping that, and the API does all the work to move it from one system to the other. And so Morpheus plays a great role in helping those individual smallholder farmers from an export perspective, from a documentation perspective, and from a shipping perspective. So we look at it as upstream and downstream food chain, and water flows downstream. Morpheus is an expert at managing that downstream. We're an expert at managing that upstream. And together we provide quite a platform for farmers around the world. Dan, do you have thoughts on how we work together to help small farmers?
Yeah, most definitely. I feel like what Morpheus is doing, to give an example, with Federated Co-op, is one of the largest food suppliers in Canada. They're a massive food supplier, right? So they do work with farmers, obviously, to sell their product through FCL. So like John was saying, us working with FCL and accepting the data from those small farmers, having Dimitra work with those small farmers from that end of it, just makes complete sense for us to join forces together and have all these different farmers around the world contributing to our different systems that we're working on. One thing that we could also provide to Dimitra platform is all the different integrations we've been working on for years now. That we've been doing this for over 3 years now. We have hundreds and hundreds of integrations. If extra robust data is required for these containers or shipments of food, whatever it would be, we can add those IoT integrations with our partners, whether it's Telefonica or Geotab for telematics. Hanha's a great partner in the UK as well. All different devices that do different things based on the data that's required, and adding in the automation of the compliance and the documentation. We can definitely add a good value add for Dimitra and for Dimitra clients as well. We're happy, obviously, to work with John, and having a great connection with your partners is obviously a huge benefit for us. It doesn't matter how good the business is. If we can't converse with each other and have a good time collaborating, then that's never going to work. So it's a great partnership just from the friendly aspect of our relationship. So I thank you for that, John, as well. And that question, yes, 9A, John had mentioned that was from 9A and a bunch of other letters and numbers. So thank you for that. All right, let's move on to another question here.
I've got a few here. One of them is from 10-Day. How will smallholder farmers using Connected Farmer platform benefit from the partnership of Dimitra and Morpheus? And how do we promote this cooperative to the communities which are still struggling to fit into the ag tech and blockchain? So if I look at those communities, and thank you for that question, we do a lot of work in Africa, Middle East, Latin America, and Asia. And we have a great team. We've got salespeople in over 60 countries. Dan's got salespeople all over the world as well. And we are talking to governments, to farming cooperatives, to agencies, and to ag tech companies every day. And we just need to continue having those conversations and determine which leads are out there where we become a good fit. I think our interest level is very, very high, and our adoption level is high. We've signed a number of deals. We've announced a few deals in the past few months. We've got a few more deals coming that we'll be announcing for global ag tech projects. And I think the Dimitra and Morpheus piece, again, really ties things together where, we look at upstream. How do we manage produce and livestock on the farm? How do we collect data right from soil through harvest? And then how do we move that through the Morpheus platform from harvest to export? So I think it fits quite well. Thank you for that question. And Dan, do you have anything to add to
Yeah, I'd say that, talking with these smallholder farmers or any sort of user of Morpheus or Dimitra for that matter as well, I know, John, you'd agree with this, that, we can speak all day about the amazing technologies, whether it's blockchain or IoT, machine learning, whatever it is that they're going to be benefiting from. We could even get into what those benefits would be, right? Let's say the speed from automation or traceability, what it adds in, what those benefits are. But if it's not easy to use, that's always in the back of our minds. We have to allow the use of the platform to be able to function with it properly. So we're always working on that constantly. And for us, it's working directly with our clients, asking for their feedback, where they're having issues. So once again, I know a lot of the AMA listeners right now, watchers and listeners, they care a lot about the technology, which I completely understand. But when it comes to the farmers and our clients and all that, the technology and all that, they don't even care, right? They just want to know the benefit of it and how do they use it. If it's easy to use and they have the benefit in it, then that's something they will go ahead with. So we really have to, sort of form our product based on that. So 10-Day, really, really thank you for that question as well. And I'd say ease of use is super important, most definitely.
Yeah, I see another one here. It's interesting. And you and I haven't talked much about this. So this one came in the Reddit channel, and it's Mas Sethe asked robotics and space gathering steam. So I think he's saying robotics are gathering steam in agriculture and and in supply chain? Do we see any supply chain use cases that are interesting there?
Yeah, listen, honestly, I thought that question was more so about the space supply chain specifically, because we did have that new partnership with Geometric Energy Corporation out of Canada. They have that great project going on with SpaceX to send up using it's the Doge 1 mission to the moon, where they're sending basically a satellite into space, advertising on this cube. It's really something unbelievable, right? So people asking us about what is the supply chain automation when it comes to space, and I think they're thinking specifically of, let's say, shipments into space and the compliance involved in that, and then that's not obviously what we're working on right now, but the parts and pieces that go into a satellite and go into this cube that's going up into space, they have to be certified, looked at by engineers. There's a whole bunch of documentation, a whole bunch of certification that goes behind all these parts. You don't want to be the engineer that didn't, you can't send off a part into space if it hasn't been obviously certified properly. So that's where Morpheus comes in with that certification piece, and bringing in those pieces on Earth at this point, to the proper locations to be assembled. We can definitely help with that supply chain as well and automating all those processes. And that's what we're working on with GEC right now. Very exciting as once again, that project with SpaceX is just unbelievable. I believe they're launching that into space in 2022. So look out for more information on that as well. It's super exciting. But yes, sorry, John, you want to talk about robotics in the farm industry as well?
No, I think that led me to a question just from the perspective of space. Do you get to go up in space with Elon?
Of course I do. No, listen, I believe Elon is one of the few billionaires who has the ability to go into space who hasn't taken that chance yet. So maybe he will one time. But yes, listen, it's not in my agenda. It's not in our roadmap. I feel like Morpheus community members would be worried if I'm just launching myself into space aimlessly. But if there's a need to go into space, most definitely I would be there for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I guess just to take that question a little further about supply chain use cases for robotics, we're seeing lots at a farm level. We're not doing much work from a robotics perspective, although we are doing some investigation of systems that we can integrate with to gather information in the field. So there's some great companies out there that have built robots to go out and monitor crops and monitor crop performance. So we're watching that space really closely and seeing how that could be a fit with Dimitra. So let me look at another one here. Crazy Tiger has asked, what's the joint roadmap for the two projects going forward? What do you think about that question, Dan?
I think that's a great question. Listen, I'll say that what our current trajectory is right now, we have our heads down, scaling up and growing. We've been lucky enough to have some amazing clients, as I mentioned, set up our platform so we'll be able to scale up now and have it extrapolated all around the world to all these amazing companies that can benefit from it. And that goes hand in hand with what we're doing with Dimitra. Dimitra working with the smallholder farms, and our systems that we have in place for supply chain compliance and supply chain automation just makes complete sense. We built these systems with our customs broker partners, Customs Direct, Dynamic Customs Broker out of Canada, Joffroy Group out of Mexico as well. Customs brokers are the experts in customs, right? How we expect it to be able to revolutionize customs, we're not working with the brokers themselves that handle this all day long. So right now, our roadmap is to keep on growing with our partners all around the world. John has been an amazing partner of ours. One thing I'll say as well, we have a partner network that reaches even beyond Africa, Canada, all these different, amazing countries and places, continents. And we have partners actually 6 continents all around the planet. And when it comes to with John and Dimitra, if they ever need any sort of assistance with people on the ground, I know they have salespeople in 6 different nations, 60 different countries. But we have partners all around the world that have consultancies, implementation companies, help them as well. Very excited about the roadmap with ourselves and Dimitra. And all I can say is we're going to keep on growing. There's no stop. I think another question was asking about projects disappearing, right? I think this leads right into that. We've been working on this for years. I've been in supply chain over 20 years myself, okay? John has been doing this for decades as well, right? The partners we have, the clients we have, the awards we've won. We've won the PTAC Supply Chain Award for Excellence. They do a deep dive on not only our company and our clients and the solutions, but the people behind the company as well. So if people are worrying about Dimitra or Morpheus and the people working for us, the founders disappearing, that's absolutely ridiculous. We're so dedicated to this project, myself and John. I know I'm speaking for you, John, as well, but I know you're not going anywhere as well. So we're excited to be working with Dimitra and to keep on growing, as the years goes on. And once again, it's been a few years into it, John. And once again, I feel like we're right at the start. So excited about the future for sure.
It always has great excitement for me. I've been doing supply chain technology projects for over 25 years. I've done over 150 of them. And Dimitra, now it's my baby. It's something I think that we can expand around the world, that we'll grab projects in countries around the world every year. I expect next year we'll sign about 10 contracts this year. Coming into the end of the year, I think we're going to come out with 8 major contracts that we've signed, and those individual 8 contracts are very large scope and affecting a lot of countries in a lot of continents. Each of them are millions and sometimes tens of millions of dollars in revenue, and millions of users in some of them, or hundreds of thousands of users in many. So we're continuing to look for those projects, and now that we've got our Dimitra token, we've got some avenues to help with funding some projects and providing Dimitra token grants, which will start with some of those nations that maybe don't have the budget to get going, but have profitable projects in the long run. So we can work on providing some grants. That leads me to a question, and I'm not sure who sent it. I saw it in the email this morning. We'll find that name. But you had a recent announcement. You just launched on KuCoin. Tell me a little bit about that.
It's a fantastic exchange, KuCoin. People can go on KuCoin and see that we're trading as a USDT pair right now. Very, very exciting, obviously. I will say to our community listening who know this already, obviously, that we're trading on KuCoin. We recently are trading also on Gate.io, another amazing exchange as well. I'll let the community know who thinks that we're sort of settled and happy with what we're doing. That's not true. We're actually working on a few more exchanges right now as well. Very exciting. I got to say that KuCoin's been amazing to work with. The communication from the KuCoin team has been first rate. Anybody has any concerns about that exchange and dealing with the exchange? I've dealt with some tough exchanges in my day. Believe me, I've had some experience with exchanges that haven't been always amazing. So I'm telling you the truth. KuCoin has been amazing. Thank you so much, KuCoin. Great job. Getting us listed on there as well from our team. I got to say, and thank you, John, for pointing that out as well. So.
Yeah, Dan, I think it's great that you're working with Gate and KuCoin. We're also working with Gate and KuCoin. KuCoin was our first exchange, and we just launched on Gate yesterday. So we're really excited to be working with Gate as an exchange. So they are our third centralized exchange, and we've got a few more exchanges coming in the next few months.
I have another question here. One thing I wanted to mention, that it was No Doubt Blockchain that asked that question about the supply chain problems that I kind of jumped ahead of afterwards. So thank you for that question on Reddit. All right, another question that I have here is from FMEWEG. I don't know if that's a short form or an acronym or something like that. The question was specifically about explaining how our projects can remain agile and live on the Ethereum chain with high gas fees. That's a great question. We understand we've had a lot of questions from people asking about Ethereum and gas fees, especially since now we're working with a token swap, and there's been some gas fees involved in that as well. Through the platform itself, we have been working with our own private side chains to reduce fees as much as possible, but it does get expensive, as you know. One thing that, I'm sure everyone listening, and John, this as well, that Ethereum does have the large developer base. So they're constantly expanding that developer base that Ethereum has and improving their technology. One thing that I will point out with Morpheus specifically, that we've actually designed the platform and developed from the beginning to be blockchain agnostic, meaning that we could move over to another chain as needed. We're always evaluating other solutions, layer 2 solutions, whether it's a Polygon, Horizon, one of our partners, the Geek team we're always in contact with as well. Great team, GEEQ. We have our friends at HoloChain as well, friends at GoChain, Polkadot, amazing technology as well. Looking at some layer 1s as well, like a Cosmos, Binance Smart Chain, Constellation, great guys as well. Avalanche as well has been mentioned in the group. So always looking at, I'm not a technology guy myself. I am a supply chain guy. I listen to the advice of my team, but these are conversations that are constantly happening at Morpheus. But once again, we are happy with Ethereum in general, largest developer base in the world. And thank you, FMEWEG, for that question as well. John, I don't know if you have any comments on Ethereum as well and gas fees right now.
Yeah, we're doing some interesting things. So we have a farmer points program, and and our farmer points are provided in Dimitra tokens. But what we do is we calculate the points, we register the points, and then we do a roll up. So that roll up can contain many transactions, many thousands of farmer points transactions, and then it rolls up into one transaction from a gas perspective. So, we can apply thousands or even more into there and make the gas fees only pennies per transaction or even less than that, depending on how many people are receiving it from that perspective. Certainly we're sensitive to gas fees, and we're working on a lot of initiatives internally to look at different platforms. And we have a gentleman, Mike Murin, who is our chief digital currency officer, and he's constantly working on partnerships, particularly partnerships in the crypto space. So you'll see some announcements on those over the next few months, and we just continue those conversations, and we're hoping for one of those conversations to lead to another great partnership like the Morpheus-Dimitra partnership. I know we're out of time now. Dan, I'd ask you if you've got any last words.
All I got to say is that, today's a Monday. I don't know if this is going to be released to the public, this video itself, but I have the same energy on a Monday and a Friday. It doesn't matter. I am so excited about what we're doing, what Dimitra's doing as well. So anybody has any questions for us, I literally get to every single Telegram message, every single email. Someone sends me a message. I want to get to everybody, let them know what we're doing, because I'm so excited about it, right? So if people want to talk about it, I'll be honest, my wife doesn't want to talk about it. So if you want to talk to me about it, I'm open to talk about the project, most definitely. So once again, team's working hard. We're excited about it. And that's all I got to say.
Yeah, well, Dan, I thank you for your time here today. And our team will be out to all of those winners who came out with the great questions that we've had today. And I believe this will be published in the next 24 hours. So happy Tuesday, everybody.
Thank you, guys. Have a great day, everyone.
Take care.